Welcome to Heart Like Harriet. This is a podcast all about celebrating freedom. I'm your host, Giselle Phelps, and I am a very proud descendant of the Underground Railroad. My great-great-grandfather, Adam Nicholson, was a freedom seeker who left a plantation in Virginia and headed to freedom in Canada, all before the Emancipation Proclamation. And the church that I grew up in St. Catharines, Ontario, is one of Harriet Tubman's last stops on the Underground Railroad. So Harriet Tubman has always been a strong guiding force in my life, and this podcast is dedicated to honoring that legacy. Wow. This podcast is a tribute to her legacy and for those of us who choose freedom in love, work, wealth, and creativity. Each week, I sit down with bold leaders and visionaries and truth tellers who are forging their own paths and embodying what it means to live with a heart like Harriet. So we need your support for this show. Go on the internet, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you're subscribing. And if you are on YouTube, hit that bell if you haven't already. We need that so that you'll get a reminder when there are new episodes. All right, so let's get into it today. Today's guest is a friend. Etienne Maurice is an actor and founder of WalkGood LA, a community-based nonprofit dedicated to creating safe, accessible spaces for healing through movement, mindfulness, and creative expression. Born and raised right here in Los Angeles, California, Etienne has turned his passion for the arts into a mission of communal restoration, especially for Black and Brown communities affected by social injustice. Since launching WalkGood LA in 2020, Etienne has built a movement of run clubs, yoga, and art programs that bring people together to heal and grow. His work has been recognized by the Los Angeles Times, Essence, and Good Morning America. The theme today is freedom in work and how purpose-driven action creates meaningful change. Etienne, my friend.
My sister.
Welcome to Heart Like Harriet.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I love how you say my name. You say Etienne. You say it just like how my mom says it perfectly.
Well, because I'm Canadian.
I know.
You know, the French. I gotta
do like
get
the
it
Canadians
correct.
do.
Yeah, do like Canadians do.
I appreciate it.
So, Etienne, I like to start out Heart Like Harriet asking folks what freedom means to them. So when you hear freedom, what comes to mind? What does it mean to you?
When I hear freedom, I think it's the ability to make a choice, right? I think our ancestors, they didn't have the choice of freedom. And you just said it just now, like, choosing freedom. I think it's really important, especially in this day and age, to be able to make the choice of liberation. And I think that's what we're doing with WalkGood every day.
I love that. When you talk about choice, you're somebody that has made a lot of choices. You do a lot of things, as I said in the intro, right? You're an organizer, a founder, an actor. You hold a lot of different roles.
I do.
How do you view that from a perspective of freedom, the fact that you are somewhat of a Renaissance man?
Yeah, I think in many ways what I'm doing right now with my family is creating spaces of wellness, and I call it creative wellness. So I would consider myself a creative wellness entrepreneur, someone who is rooted in purpose through creativity as a director, as an actor, but also through wellness as a yoga instructor, as a breathwork facilitator, and most importantly, an entrepreneur that's actually creating opportunities for other like-minded individuals who might be in the arts, but also are very passionate about holding safe, healing spaces for individuals. So I really have done, I think, a pretty purposeful job in putting both of my passions in the arts and wellness and combining them both and using them for a greater good.
And so is not having to choose one or the other important to you?
Of course. I mean, on top of that, I have the freedom to do so, right? I think many ways a lot of time I've been told, you got to be good at one thing to move on to the next. And, I've always been good as a director, as an editor. And, by the grace of God, it led me to content creation. And especially in today's day and age, I have the opportunity to have a platform. With the platform that I have, I've been able to use that and use my voice through social media. I feel like in many ways that platform only grew once WalkGood came to life. And through WalkGood and my mission in being of service, through creating community, building community, I feel like doing that in the last 5 years brought me back to acting and directing when, to be honest, I thought I was going to give up. During COVID, I thought I was just gonna, just focus on WalkGood and that was gonna be my life. But in many ways, I feel like God brought me back to the creative arts and made me realize that I had much more to offer.
I love that the more you sewed into one area, it created opportunity in another area as well.
It did. Pretty soon I'll be in my next Christmas movie. Now I'm the Christmas King. So
what?
I just shot another one. Yeah.
Is this an exclusive?
It's an exclusive.
What?
An exclusive that comes out hopefully early December. We'll see. But it's gonna be on HBO Max. I can't give out the name yet, but
we keep getting exclusives here on Heart Like Harriet. So if y'all are watching on YouTube, make sure that you comment, follow Etienne, go find him on the internet.
Go watch Mistletoe and Matrimonies on HBO Max. And pretty soon you will find out the next one on HBO Max.
That is so dope, my friend.
Thank you.
I want to unpack a little bit about WalkGood LA because it was born out of a cultural moment. And so I know that you all feel really strongly about the fact that the healing that WalkGood LA helps facilitate it is deeply tied to our liberation.
100%. 5 years ago, June 13th, 2020, after the killing of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many Black lives that were taken from us at the hands of racial injustice, I was compelled to bring my community together in mid-city Los Angeles, and we protested. And we protested for 10 weeks straight. The very first one on June 13th, though, I was really moved after, Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd specifically, and I felt the need, compelled to bring my community together through running. And we ran in the mid-city neighborhood. And if you know Los Angeles, mid-city is literally like the most centralized part of Los Angeles. And I felt like there were all these protests happening, but there were none happening in my neighborhood. There was something happening on Crenshaw. There was something happening in South Central, something happening in Century City or Hollywood, but nothing was happening in mid-city. And I remember my cousin, Namaste Marley Ray, my co-founder, she had just got let go from a yoga studio. And I thought it would be really important maybe to ground ourselves in meditation and do some yoga stretches. And I just remember just a sense of calmness and stillness that everybody felt in that park when we started that protest. And I told Marley, I was like, Marley, we should do this like next week. And we did it that next week. It was like the day after Juneteenth. It was June 20th. And we protested on Juneteenth. And then that next day we came back to the park. And that was our first Breathe Good.
Wow.
And Breathe Good, for those of y'all that don't know, Breathe Good is our community yoga class at Kenneth Hahn Park. And our first one at LA High Memorial Park, we only had like 37 people. There's a photo to prove it.
Wow. And now if you go to Breathe Good, you better get there early.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, if you plan on going to Breathe Good, get your butt up early. Yes. Get there so you can get a parking spot.
And we have at least, 400, 500, sometimes 600 people in the park, Black and brown folks.
It's beautiful.
Doing yoga, mindfulness meditation. And it's just beautiful to see 5 years later, what was born out of protests has now evolved into a space of healing, community, and self-expression. The fact that, just like you said, the fact that people come out to celebrate and breathe and do yoga at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, they have the freedom to do so. They have the choice to breathe.
And what message do you think that this sends, right? To see, hundreds of mostly younger, millennial, Gen Z age, Black and brown folks gathering in that way in a park on a Sunday morning. What message do you think that sends to the wider community?
It's revolutionary. I think a lot of us are desperately trying to find places of rest. I think a lot of us are so desperate to heal from the traumas that we've experienced generationally. And I think now we're at a tipping point where a lot of us are saying, all right, this is enough. And when Black and brown communities see what WalkGood LA is doing, it's just going to send out a ripple effect that it is possible. And to be honest, I haven't spoken about this enough, but a lot of what I've learned in community building came from the church, came from growing up, going to church. That's why before every flow, I tell everybody to stand up and I tell them to say hi to their neighbor and shake their hands and hug one another and, share some good news that you might have. I learned all that in church. But I've learned that now a lot of people don't want to go to church, but I always remind people you will find God in every program that we offer. You will find, and if you don't believe in God, you will find peace. You will find love in this space that exists just for you. And I want to be able to show the world that healing comes in different forms. It might not be yoga. That's why we offer our run clubs. It might not be running. That's why we have a hike club. It might not even be a hike club. It might be meditation. It might be breath work. It might even be coming to WalkGood, our new jazz program. It might even be WalkGood, which you're familiar with, our film and wellness festival. So I think the intention is accessibility and healing through all forms. And I think people are noticing more and more.
I love that. And I love that you referenced growing up in the church and how that influenced you. And it makes me think, too, just about your upbringing and just the value set that you've been raised with. Because I will say I've interacted with you and your sister, your mother. You are all very loving people.
Thank you.
So, and I know that this is just part of your Jamaican roots that you're really proud of, right? That come from your grandmother. So would you say this is like ancestral for you in terms of how you live your life with this value set?
100%. And thank you for that question. Because, I think even down to the name, WalkGood, it stems from my grandmother who reminded me to walk good. WalkGood is a Jamaican saying that, your auntie or your uncle, or your grandma, or grandpa might tell you anytime you leave the house, which is exactly what my grandmother told me every time I left her presence. She always told me to walk good, Etienne. And when I graduated college in 2015, WalkGood always stuck with me, and I always wanted I wanted my identity to pay homage to my Jamaican ancestry and my family. And so when 2020 happened 5 years later after I graduated, I felt like I wanted to continue that I wanted to continue to honor my legacy through the service work, through the purpose work. And that's how WalkGood LA became the nonprofit arm to my production company, WalkGood Productions. And, in many ways, I believe WalkGood helped me grieve. It helped me grieve the death of my grandparents. That's why you have that photo of them inside the WalkGood yard. And I feel like the work that we're doing is ancestral because in many ways I get to instill a lot of what was taught from my grandparents. I get to spread to the world, to my community. The elements that you might feel at WalkGood, a family, when you think of faith, when you think of hope, these are all ideals that were realized through what my grandparents had to go through and through what my mom has had to go through. My dad has had to go through as an immigrant, coming from the Ivory Coast. So I feel like the work that you've experienced, all the programs that you've experienced at WalkGood, I think in many ways are bits and pieces of the lessons that were passed down to me from all of my family.
That was a major gem, because what you just said, basically, you're saying that love, faith, hope, those are all the necessary ingredients to be free.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even look at the work that you're doing right now, being able to continue to share the legacy of Harriet Tubman, the people that are part of your lineage. I think a lot of us, we're always searching for things outside of ourselves, when in reality, everything that we want, everything that we need is within us. Because if you think about it, our great grandparents, they got on the ship and they made it.
Exactly.
But not only did they make it, they actually survived. Think about your whole bloodline.
I think about it all the time.
I think about it all the time. Just the fact that we are here living, breathing Black people in America, having the freedom to create communities, to create podcasts. I think that is the legacy that we must uphold and continue to uphold, so that the next generation will be inspired to create their own.
I'm curious. We're talking a lot about your community-based work, right? You are an actor and you have a production company as well. And we all remember you're like an OG of reality TV, really, right? Because you were on Baldwin Hills.
Yes, yeah, and My Super Sweet 16.
You an OG.
I wish social media was around during those times. It would have been a whole different story. But yes, continue.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, do you ever feel any sort of struggle or like pull or tension between, what you want to do personally and your commitment to doing all the community work you're doing? Or do you feel very free to, pick and choose and toggle between them?
I feel very free to go, because for me, here's the thing: as a creative wellness entrepreneur, it's all encompassing of who I am and what I want to do. I'm never going to not create. I'm not going to stop teaching yoga classes and doing breath work exercises for my community. I feel like those are all parts of who I am. And it's funny, I have been thinking a lot of it, like, do I go one direction or do I go the other? I think the reality is what I'm building with WalkGood is new, and people haven't seen it being done in the capacity in which we're doing it, The same place where we do yoga in our studio at the WalkGood Yard is the same exact place where we have a whole film and wellness festival. It hasn't been done before.
I've been there for both, yeah.
I get hired as a director. I get hired as an actor. I also get hired to do speaking engagements. I get hired to do yoga. But the fact that I could do it on my own terms, I think, is really beautiful. And I think when people haven't seen it done before, it makes you question, well, is he an actor? Is he a producer? Or is he a yoga instructor? No, I'm all of these things. I just happen to be really good at doing all of them. But I'm passionate about all of them too. I'm always doing my research. I'm reading books all the time to learn more of the intention of why I'm doing these things. And I think as long as I stay rooted in my purpose, I think I'm able to do all things.
Have you ever had, in this business, have you ever had anybody question that?
Yeah, of course. I think in the beginning of WalkGood, I always got asked, like, well, so are you going to do this WalkGood thing, or are you doing this acting thing? And I think I've showed that I could do both. Yeah.
I think you have. Yeah. I think you have, Fred. I think you have. So, I'm curious, what advice or, nugget you would give to, somebody coming up behind you, right? Because, it's funny. I was thinking earlier today about there was a TikTok I saw about a woman saying, if you've been at the same company more than 3 years, you've been there too long. And I was thinking about that because when I graduated from college, you that was still kind of the mantra that you tried to get in at a company and stay there as long as you could, right? But that has changed dramatically since I graduated from college to, I don't want to say how long ago, but it's been a minute.
It was just like 5 years ago, right? We graduated same class, 2015,
we did,
right?
We did.
Yep.
Yeah, we did. But, now the expectation is not that folks, marry themselves to an organization, right? Yeah. People hop around, they get new skills, they go into entrepreneurship, they do different things. So I'm curious, like, you really are an example of what that can look like. Yeah. So what advice would you give to somebody who's watching this right now, who's like, oh my gosh, I love that Etienne hasn't had to choose and has the freedom to do all of these different things?
I would say really, really dig deep within yourself and identify what makes you feel your best self, but most importantly, what makes you feel whole. I think for me, I have always been passionate about connecting people. I just didn't think it would manifest to WalkGood. I always had this inkling inside me, like, I want to bring people together. And I always thought it was through parties. I was always the kid, throwing parties when my mom was out of town. And, I was that kid,
Right.
And, when I graduated, when I was in college, actually, I just thought acting, directing would be my life. But still, even in that space, I always wanted to bring actors and producers and writers together. And I was always going to these mixers, like my boy Andrew Cole. He used to, from The Mission, he's an amazing manager in the industry, but he's also in mindfulness, and he's also really passionate about the arts. But he was really passionate about community. And he was always bringing all these creators together. There's so many writers and producers who are doing really well right now who I met at his house.
Oh, wow.
And I always had this thing inside me that wanted to bring people together. But then during the protests, that all shifted.
Yeah.
And I think once I saw that I had the ability to really bring people in droves together, I realized there was power in that. And it wasn't just acting. It wasn't just directing. I had an ability to mobilize. I was like, wait, no, there's something here, And I think to be able to allow the freedomness, to be able to make that choice, to step away from something that you thought might be your trajectory, to be able to do that takes a lot. It takes a lot, and it's scary, but that's what made me feel good. That's what made me feel whole, to be able to bring my community together, my people together, do something that was bigger than, something that was bigger than you, something that was bigger than us. And I think it served me well. My grandmother, she always used to say, Etienne, you're either going to be a pastor or you're going to be a politician. And I'm not going to be either. But
well, what's so funny? Honestly, I had that thought. When you were talking about the church earlier, I said, I could see Etienne preaching a word. I could see you giving a sermon.
I don't.
Could you just be the guest pastor one Sunday?
No. Not, at least not right now. Right now it doesn't make me feel whole. It's not. Don't think that it would serve me.
I'll circle back in about 10 years.
Maybe
10, 15.
Yeah, maybe 10, 15. We'll see. We'll see. But it's not on my vision board right now.
Okay.
But to answer your question, I would say go with the flow and go with what makes you feel your best. Yeah. And to add on top of that, I feel my best doing this work with my family. The fact that I get to do it with my sister Ivy, the fact that I get to do it with my cousin Marley, the fact that I get to do it with my wife Stephanie and my mom. Like, I think the fact that I have the ability to do this purposeful work with my blood, I think is really, really, really special.
Yeah, Cheryl be out there. I
Yeah.
see her.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, she
Yes,
be
she does.
organizing.
She hasn't
with
come.
y'all.
She hasn't come to Breathe Good in a very long time, but she'll come to Act Good. You know,
Yeah.
our acting class. Yeah,
And during the fires, you all mobilized. The
Yeah.
whole family was in on that.
yeah.
And I was going to ask you too, because since you guys do so much, like how do you keep all this well-oiled machine going, right? Like, because it truly is a family effort.
So-
yeah.
We have a team of 5, and it is myself as the CEO, my cousin Marley, who's our director of health and wellness. She also is the studio director at the Yard. And then my sister Ivy, she is our VP of marketing. So she works with Kavi Peshwaria, who's our creative director, creative strategist, who implements all the creative ideas to really amplify all the work that we do. And then we got our star of a human being, Jay Peshwaria, who's my right hand, a director of operations. And the 5 of us really have been working. We've been dedicated to making sure that we offer programming at the Yard and beyond Los Angeles 7 days a week. And so it's a lot of meetings. We have meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we just are really about the business of getting it done by any means necessary. But I think the world, like I said, is taking notice. But we need help. We continue to need support, financial support, so that we can continue to do this work. But it's working, and I remain steadfast and hopeful that the work that we're doing is not in vain, and that we're gonna get more help to continue to pursue our mission of providing equitable and accessible healing spaces in Los Angeles and beyond.
You can throw that website in there for the donation.
WalkGoodLA.org. You better do it.
Yeah.
Go to WalkGoodLA.org right now. Go to the Walk Good Yard. If you're ever in LA, come to the Walk Good Yard and see our creative wellness space. It's the only creative wellness space on Pico, right out the corner of Pico and Norton, which is 2 blocks east of Crenshaw. Just go to Walk. If you look at Walk Good, it's us.
And you're teasing a little expansion here, because you keep saying, beyond LA. So is expanding.
We just got a new board chair. And Nick Rathode, he's an amazing philanthropist, amazing entrepreneur who's really passionate about the work that we're doing with Walk Good. And I'm really confident that he's going to help take Walk Good to new heights. In the last 5 years of Walk Good, myself, Ivy, and Marley, we have not taken a salary to continue to do this work. And I'm very, very excited to see this next phase, so that eventually we do get salaries, so that we do get another studio in Los Angeles, maybe, on Slauson, maybe in New York, so I really do see Walk Good expanding outside of Los Angeles, outside of the United States, and providing these spaces so that people can continue to see what's possible.
I could see, what is it, a Montego Bay, Ocho Cerrillos Walk Good Yard? Okay.
Maybe Mandeville. Yeah, we put it out there. Putting it out there.
I love it. And also, you know what? I have to say, Walk Good does such an amazing job keeping its ear to the ground. Like, sometimes I'm just shocked at how fast you all are able to respond to things. I think it was recently, like, with the tsunami warning, I said, they got those graphics up quick.
That's Kavi. Kavi is like a genius when it comes to creating those assets and putting those bulletins. And I think that's another like hidden gem about what we do at Walk Good, is we make sure that we provide resources and accessible resources for people to really know how they can help or they can just be in the know, anything community related in Los Angeles. Kavi has a background in working in hospital in the ER. Actually, he left his job working in the ER to be able to do the work that he does with WalkGood. He's that passionate about it. And so if the work that we do makes people leave entire jobs, I feel like there's something there. I know there's something there.
Yeah.
And so, shout out to Kavi. Kavi has made that happen.
And I think what's also special about you, Etienne, is like you're really dedicated to bringing other people with you on your journey, right? I feel like you're the type of person that never meets a stranger.
Yeah, Stephanie will tell you, my wife will definitely tell you, anytime we're out there in the road, I will always bump into somebody that from my past. And it's I feel like in many ways that's what's made WalkGood today, is because in all honesty, I think how I've treated people along my journey has brought me to where I am right now.
Yeah.
I think people remember how I treated them. I've always been as kind as I could. I always leave people with a pleasant experience, and that's why I smile. I do the best I can in all that I do. Every time I greet somebody, I always shake their hand. I look them in their eye. I give them a hug, and it's meaningful, and I think people remember that. Mom always told me, people might not forget what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And I take pride in knowing that I make people feel good just by my presence alone. But more so with WalkGood, my action as well. It always leaves an indelible mark on people. And I'm really, really, really prideful in that.
That's amazing. And I mean, you're filling me up. Honestly,
I appreciate that.
I'm so proud. I'm proud to know you. Honestly,
I'm proud.
You're
to be
an amazing
friend.
Man. And I want to ask just one last question though, because you also have WalkGood Productions.
Yes.
And so, from a storytelling point of view, I'm curious. What stories you want to tell, especially when it comes to stories that liberate us as a people.
I am really glad that you asked that question. Thank you. I want to tell stories of healing. I want to tell stories of strength and being able to overcome obstacles. There's a script that I just wrote about my experience in the psych ward. A lot of people, they don't know that part of my story. I've survived a lot of trauma. When I was 21, I was a survivor of gun violence. I also went to the psych ward after suffering a traumatic brain injury. And this all happened within 11 months. And I think I'm now, in my 33 years of age, I'm now propelled to tell that story, those stories. But I also want to tell it through a lens of realness, but also through comedy. Because while it is traumatic, there are a lot of funny things that happen through my experiences, And I've lived a lot of life, but I want to be able to share parts of my life through stories, and I think that in and of itself is healing.
Well, I am definitely buying a ticket to that screening when it hits the big screen.
You will get a front row seat, popcorn in hand.
Etienne, thank you so much for sharing. It's honestly always a pleasure to share space with you. So thank you so much. Tell the people where they can find you on the social media interwebs.
WalkGood Etienne, WalkGood LA, the WalkGood Yard, WalkGood Where, anything WalkGood. I mean that. I we this. Yeah, man. WalkGood.
Yeah, man. I'm going to be over here sounding like Chet Hanks. I'm not going to. No.
Although he's not that bad in his accent. I'm not going to hold you. Like, Chet Hanks, I give you it. Like you speak better patois than me. I let you rock with that one. I'm not gonna hold you. It's actually pretty good. I'm actually kind of mad your patois is better than me.
Oh my goodness, Etienne, I love it. Well, listen, I definitely feel like I'm going to be walking good after this conversation. It is always a pleasure to be in Etienne's company, and I hope that you guys really took in all of these amazing gems that he dropped today. So thank you so much, Etienne Maurice.
Thank you, Giselle.
For sharing such an inspiring story about all his impactful work at WalkGood LA. So make sure you go follow them on Instagram. And if you have a couple extra dollars, you can donate.
It's tax-free, y'all.
Etienne definitely shows us how healing through movement, mindfulness, and creative expression can begin real change in communities. If Etienne's journey resonated with you, I encourage you to go check out WalkGood LA if you are in the LA area, and to visit their website, sign up for the newsletter. I'm on the newsletter. I get it like every day. They have all good programs. Get on that. So thank you for tuning in to Heart Like Harriet. And if this episode inspired you, moved you, please share it with a friend. We need you to help us spread this community.
Come on,
We're trying to grow something here. Make sure you follow us, leave a review, and come back next week for more conversations with more leaders who are living free in love, work, wealth, and creativity. Keep going, keep trusting yourself, and keep living with a heart like Harriet.